First, I'd like to start by acknowledging the audience which I have, the guests, and of course the traditional owners of the land that wherever you might be in use of for today, and all the elders past and present. We pay their respects. Now, today's virtual online day, open day, will be an interesting one. We hope that starting at this time, we'll be able to show you by 3 o'clock the world of what it is at Palbota School that happens. And despite the fact that we've been in a COVID lockdown, not much has changed. We have still ensured education goes on. Learning still is as active and engaged as ever, and that at the end of the day, no matter what happens in life, it never stops. So looking at what the lineup is for today, we expect to see the following, sorry, just trying to navigate two computers at once. Today's presenters, we have Mr. Powell, our founding principal. Joining us in the high school, we have our curriculum coordinator, Bodhidasa, Mr. Sortau, our Kappa coordinator, Mr. Wei, our sports coordinator, Mr. Chong in charge of stage 6, Ms. Kaur in charge of year 10, Mr. Tong in charge of year 9 in collaboration with Mr. D'Alessio, and Dr. Chung in mathematics. Behind the scenes, of course, we have several members of our admin and teaching staff helping to make sure that today's event runs as smoothly as possible. And in our primary team, we have Ms. Shaw, the primary coordinator, Ms. Zhu, our year 6 teacher, Ms. Hood, who is our primary Kappa and PDHPE teacher, and she's also been our stage 2 teacher. If there were questions, feel free to direct them her way. And Miss Lee, who is our language teacher in Chinese for both high school as well as primary school. So these are the staff that you'll get to hear from today, and I introduced to you their titles just in case you were able, in case you had some questions and wanted to direct them personally. So to start off for today, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Miss Lam. I am the head of school here at Palbota School in the Canley Vale campus. The structure of today, what we can expect to endure and experience. We firstly have an address from our founding principal, Mr. Powell, followed by a Q&A from the audience. So if from Mr. Powell's delivery of our vision, mission, and approach of the school, if you have any questions you would like to ask him, I strongly encourage you to write them down if you want to grab some pen and paper and have that in front of you, because throughout today, we hope and we really would be it would be lovely to hear some questions from the audience, and we'll try our best to address them on the spot. After the Q&A with Mr. Powell, all of our attendees will break off into experience sessions with our respective teachers. After that, we'll come back together and talk about some results as we then proceed further, and you'll have some time to ask questions from our teachers, or even if you didn't get to hear from any one of them today, that's the time that you can direct your question. And at the end, if there are, we'll conclude the day, and hopefully that'll take us through to about 3 o'clock. All right, so we'll get started. I'd like to first show you a video. In this video, it captures the summary of Palbota School. I hope you enjoy it.
We are a school that invite seekers, people who want to find out about who they are. And that is a challenge not just for the students, but for adults. What have we done that is beneficial to the students here? What do you think? Can you see? A student comes to a school, and every school, what they're going to get taught is about the outside world, isn't that right? They just focus on building the intellect. But we are unique because we turn the attention of the student inside. We teach them how to understand who they are as a human being. I don't think there are many schools out there who dare to turn the students inside, to look inside, to change who they are so that they can live a wholesome, noble life. And from the result of that, as you can see here, a school that is unique. These values are humanistic values which are common to all human beings. We're building the human. And if you look at Kappa, which is this most recent event, how does that do it to the individual? And I think you can see selfless joy is there, compassion is there, loving kindness is there. Do they have the work on the right speech? Yes, they do. Does the speech not have to not hurt other people, not hurt them? Should they avoid idle chatter? Should they avoid gossiping? Should they avoid harsh speech? They're all there, aren't they? Look at the right livelihood. How is the morality, how is the wisdom built into there? How is diligence built into there? If the parents just teach these kids responsibly, if they stand up at home, take up the moral responsibility just to teach them how to cook so that they can survive, in that there will be compassion arising, there will be loving kindness, there will be generosity, there will be patient understanding in them, which is equanimity. It's just one of our training grounds, to come inside, to understand who we are. If we understand who we are, then success in the outer world is actually easy to obtain. Greatest challenge is to unlock the weaknesses within. The greatest opponent is not in front of them, it's actually inside. Whether it's martial artists, or whether it's music, or whether it's sport, it is the same. The human element are all the same. We are trying to figure out how to unlock all these entanglement. Because most of the problem we have in our life is not outside, it's actually inside. We are the finder, we are the seekers, all of us. None of us know everything. And when we seek, our seeking become more clear because our students are the platform that allow us this opportunity to cultivate our own light inside.
Okay, so that was the video. I hope that from that you understood of our approach to education, and it is rather unique. And we hope that today you'll get a taste of how unique that is. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the school from an overview point of view before we head on to the talk with Mr. Powell. And something that a lot of parents and even benefactors and supporters of our school, when they come in, something they often want to understand is how it is that we approach education. And you can see a diagram here of a house. Let me just get that up. So there's a diagram of a house. And this is an analogy that's always used by Mr. Powell when he's speaking with parents to let them understand how it is that we approach the learning and teaching of a child. And at our school, especially from Mr. Powell, you'll hear the analogy of a plant very often. We always we are asked to look at a student like they are a seed or they are a plant, and that the growth of that plant or seed is not just dependent on the seed alone. In other words, you can't expect that the child, just by progressing through 18 years, will know and will find his or her own way. It is so crucial that all the environmental factors are there to nurture the growth, from nutrients and watering to sunlight and soil. They are pretty much the same as for a child, and the equivalent would be family, food, of course, supplements, the essential of life. But in addition, school, friends, the influences they have around them, whether that be social media or that be through other forms of media, what it is that they absorb, a young mind absorbs, and what they make of it determines who they then become. And so as a school, our role is quite important in this building of foundations in a house. And as you can see in the diagram on the screen, you've got the green marbly grass. There are two pillars that hold up every building. And Mr. Powell would always say that the very first and most important pillar, which represents foundations, would be coming from parents. Because as is always said around our school, we are the children's second teacher, and the parents is the number one teacher, because we only have the children up to about 18 years, until 18 years old. The rest of the time they are out of our hands. But as a parent, they are your children, and you are their teacher for life. But parents alone is not enough. This is where an important foundation in partnership with parents, the school, needs to come in. So together we build the foundations of the student, and thereby we reach the student as the one on top, building a roof. And the reason why Mr. Powell uses this analogy is because the student, you see the roof, touches both of the pillars, and the roof or the structure requires both in order to be able to sit on top and finish that the enclosure. So for that reason, without any one of the two foundations, it would be quite weak. And so in going further, there is a very strong partnership and connection between the student and their parent, or the children and their parent. That is quite obvious, and we need not emphasize. Between the student and the school, there is also a very strong connection, because we see them for 6 hours of the day, and parents are with them for the other 18 hours of the day. But what often doesn't get done, and if so, it doesn't get done well, is the last connection, and that is the one between the parents and the school. If the two foundations are not in partnership with each other, they cannot produce a consistent learning environment for that child. You might have one pillar that is taller than the other. The roof won't sit well. You might have one pillar that's made out of sponge and the other one that's made out of concrete. One is softer and the other one is firm. Either way won't work well. So it is very important that whatever the children are exposed to with us in the 6 hours a day, that it is also reflective of the parent or the family's values and environment that the children come home to every day. And so because of that, at Powell Buddhist School, parents are brought into our everyday involvement. There are several activities, meetings, events throughout the day, throughout the year, that we involve parent participation in. So with that, for those parents who feel that this is very much in line with your philosophy of how you'd like to raise your child, that's obviously the first of a very good start with us. Now, for you to gain some insight about what we do, so going into detail about the student and the school relationship, I'd just like to now go through our what it is that we do here. So with the school, our philosophy on education is two-pronged. The first is that the most obvious one, we manage and handle the academic growth of your child. It is our job to inoculate your children with the intelligence they need to have in order to succeed at school and in later life. So that comes in the form of knowledge. And we are specialists in giving out that knowledge, but having said that, we require parents to support us in that. The other aspect, and this is where we require more than just parent support, but actually parent partnership, is we also build character at our school. So it's not just a place where we open up textbooks and we get your children great exam marks. To us and to the vision, our founding principle, and to the future of our school, children's character development is equally, if not even more important than the academic growth. And to us, character means wisdom, morality, and diligence. You'll hear more about these three words in Mr. Powell's presentation that will come through shortly. And on the side of academics, I'd like to just focus on that. I presume that many parents would be curious about how we approach academics. So firstly, I'd like to dispel any worries and let you know that despite being a young and a small school, our curriculum is comprehensive. So all the schooling requirements from year 3 to year 12, we offer them just like any other school. But we have bonuses. We do above and beyond the minimum in terms of ROSA and NAPLAN requirements and so on. You can see there a list of our timetabled curriculum, and they are all the requirements. And of course, these are just faculties. There are lots of sub-branches that go into subjects that within each faculty. And you'll notice at the end of that list, everything should be familiar to all, except the one at the end of the list, which is Dharma and ethics. That, on the other hand, is not government influenced. That is the spiritual and humanistic teachings of our school. So where I showed you earlier on the slide that we develop character, we have a time to do it that's timetabled in, but we also have infused in our school culture that teaching that occurs everywhere else too. But in Dharma and ethics, students come to learn not about, it's not a scripture class. It is a class that teaches them the techniques of how to look into their mind and explore the challenges and understand, find some clarity with how muddled our mind can be, from perspectives to feelings to wisdom and so on. And the aim of Dharma and ethics at our school is to gear students up with the ability to apply wisdom in life in every situation they approach, and ultimately make the right decision for themselves. You'll hear more about that undoubtedly throughout today as well, because it does represent one of the more important aspects of how we approach education of a child. Next up we have is sports. So despite, again, being a small and a young school, our sports curriculum, we break through the boundaries of our school, and we offer sports with the ability to form partnerships with local facilities. Examples would be the Mounties Club in Mount Pritchard, which has some state-of-the-art facilities for sports. We have a partnership with them, and we use their basketball courts, tennis courts, netball courts, and swimming pool. We also have, we utilize the local PCYC, the local Capraval Leisure Centre, and all of that. So in terms of sports, not only will your children have equal opportunities in a schooling context, but even on a competitive context. We are a member of the Combined District of Secondary Schools Sports Association, CDSSA, And from that CDSSA, we have competitions with other schools, so inter-schools competitions and gala days as well. And some of our students have indeed gone up to as far the equivalent of local, regional, state level of competitions. Also, another stream would be our creative arts. Students have opportunities to join stage band, choir, visual arts clubs, a student-led Kappa committee, and the tabletop role-playing game club, which is a strategy-based game club for students who want to take advantage of the benefits of gaming rather than the unwholesome fruits. Outside of these faculties, we also have the Writers Circle, which is a literacy and a writing club, and they too compete on a national level too. So of most recently, we've had students compete in writing competitions across Australia, and we've even had some of our students making it through to the finalist round in the Writers Circle in I think it was a poetry competition too. So that's for the engaged writers. And lastly, we have a chess club. Likewise, this is an inter-schools competition where we compete with local schools such as Macquarie Fields, Sefton, Patrician Brothers, in a chess competition run on a weekly basis. So, and we're very proud of all of our students across all of the competitions that I've mentioned so far. We've had students that so many, almost every year, we make it into a finalist in one way or another. And so it is with that environment, it really goes to show that it's the spirit that matters. Next up is just offering you the glimpse of what we have in terms of student leadership. This is a very large part. If you haven't already read about our school vision, it is to nurture future wholesome leaders with a selfless purpose to light up the world. And in this slide, I'm emphasizing on the word leaders. So that means whether your child comes in as a shy person, as a talkative person, as someone who is full of ideas, or as someone who's waiting for their potential to be unleashed, we see a leader in every child, and our job is to use wisdom, morality, and diligence to bring out the leader in your child. And it doesn't matter if your child doesn't wish to become the Prime Minister of Australia in the future or any other form of leadership, because we believe that you don't need to be a leader to be superior in the society. It is the leadership heart, the willpower, the strategy, and the ideas that everyone can apply in every situation. So, for opportunities to allow students to develop and enhance this leadership skills, we have the Student Representative Council, shortened as the SRC. And in that, we're very proud of our SRC. They have established and currently running several groups. I've got 2 of them up here. They're the ones that have been active throughout the COVID period, despite the lockdown. And the first one is the Voice of Student Society. So this is a multimedia videography and photography club. And so students, if anyone's interested in shooting videos or taking beautiful photos, compiling and doing video editing, this is the club for you. Our students on a weekly basis, they're like little news reporters going around capturing life around the school and broadcasting that on YouTube. And some of the videos of our Voice of Student Society has received up to 2,000 views on their videos that have been published online. So we're so proud to see the accomplishments there. The Dust and Shine group is a self-discipline training fun club. It turns cleaning into a perfectionist obsession. It turns tidiness and self-organization into something to be proud about. So in Dust and Shine, we learn how to be taking ownership of our environment, whether that be at home or at school, and performing selfless acts of tidy up, clean up, systematic working. And their motto is a clean house or a clean school is a clean mind. We also have the Boys and Girls Club, which is a very strongly parent-involved club. And for all the parents out there, this is my invitation to you now that we would love for you, all PAL students, we ask their PAL parents to be a part of this club. This is where we impart life skills to the students. Examples I can think of that we've done in the past, we've run sessions on cooking courses, on survival skills in the bush, how to sew a button on a shirt, and so on. Just the basic life skills around a fun and engaged environment. And lastly, we've got the training grounds. The training grounds are one of the foundations of our school. Every student must participate in the training grounds, and these are spread across the entire year. So over 4 terms, we have all students participating in and even competing in cooking, performance, debating, and public speaking. And these are just some. There are others that I haven't listed on here. If I was to summarize the training grounds, it would be the aim of all of these. It's not about cooking per se, nor is it really about public speaking. But if we go down deeper, it is about building student accountability, responsibility, respect, discipline, and integrity, which is like honesty. So we use these activities, we make it fun, we make it engaging, and we make it competitive. And by students participating in it, they inherently develop those qualities I just listed. So all of that, I hope you're not feeling overwhelmed, and if you are, I do apologize. But from that, at least I hope that you start to understand how it is that PAL Buddhist School approaches education. And so does it work? Well, academically, we know that it has. I'm pleased to inform you of our NAPLAN results. For 2019, you may have already seen this. It's on our website. We ranked #1 in our region, and that's across about 51 schools. And we're very proud of this because it's not an easy thing to be able to do in just our 7th year of establishment to be able to rise to the top in our local region, especially given that there are many reputable schools around our region, ones that have been in the community for a very long time. And we're proud because our students showed that there is no limitation. Once the mind is willing to succeed and they've got the right environment to grow, anything is possible. Recently, we've received our results for 2021, and we were even more happier because out of the 20 strands that get tested, 19 of them were above national average. So this is an excellent result. We don't yet have the ranking for our local for how we did in the 2021 NAPLAN, but we know for sure we did better than we did in 2019, and fingers crossed, not only did we maintain first in our region, but we did even better than that and came first in a larger area than our local region. All right, so next up is that's all from me. I hope that that's a summary and that will form the connection to what we're about to do next. We will hear from our founding principal, and following that, we will break up into our sessions with our teachers. So once again, I just remind you, if you'd like to take a pen and paper or a phone, if you want to take down any notes for our any questions as you hear Mr. Powell's speech. We'll then be able to address it at the end. So, Mr. Powell, I'd like to invite you to now start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'm hoping that everybody out there in the online world can hear me. Welcome to all new prospective parents and students, and thank you to all the teachers and the students who have been putting a lot of effort to make this online experience one of the best, as usual. This is the standard of Pao Buddha School. We may be small in size, but our hearts and minds are probably as big as the biggest school in the world, if not bigger. I guess one of the questions, as you saw just now, Ms. Lam talked about, in our school, on our journey as the first Buddhist high school in Australia, in 7 years, we're able to achieve such academic excellence. And one of the burning questions from many parents and educators alike was, if I can have the question up there, Ms. Lam, I'm not sure if you do. Questions that often that's been asked of me after our result our NAPLAN result came out was this: how is it that we can achieve academic excellence when our motto is through wisdom and morality and diligence, we achieve enlightenment? Because in the motto itself, it doesn't appear that we are tackling academic excellence. Right, so here's the question: how does nurturing morality, wisdom, and diligence in a student, how can that produce academic excellent student? Well, the answer to that question is easy if you dig into the common sense. But if you look at the world through the lens of the worldly view, what I mean by that is you look at the world from an economic lens. From an economic lens, most parents are trying to encourage their children to compete, to get into, the selective schools, the academically renowned school. They tend to be very expensive school, or they tend to be selective schools. And I myself was a graduate of a selective school, and from my experience in selective school, I know that most of the education was done by the students and the parents at home, not really the school. So, and the focus of parents is always based on wherever there's success. If you hear of success, academic success in a school, any school, they will redirect their compass and try to get into that school. Many parents will even change addresses just to move to those schools. Now, I've been in education for almost 30 years now. Of course, my qualified degree from university was computer engineering, but I've been teaching way before I became an engineer. And I saw the pattern of what we need, or what it needs, and what teachers need to do in order to produce well-rounded, successful students, not just in academic, but in any area, any aspect of their life. And the key to that, of course, is in a pathway. Some people call it, say to me that we have a secret weapon or secret tool or secret formula. There is not this pathway that we have is no secret. It's actually found 2,500 years ago by a fully enlightened being. He was called the Buddha. Our secret, which is not really a secret, it's a well-known path revealed by the Buddha. The pathway in which we use to bring our students to great success in academic or any other aspect of their life and beyond our school as well, that's what we anticipate, is known as the Eightfold Noble Path. Can I move to the next slide, please, Islam? For those of you who do not know the Eightfold Noble Path, just because I mentioned the name of the Buddha, fear not that I am talking about religion. For the Buddha's teaching is not towards religious indoctrination. He is more of a scientific man than he is a religious man. He is more of an engineer than he is a religious teacher. The Buddhist approach is very scientific, and in his path, the Eight Noble Path, which is, can I have the next slide? In his path, in the Eight Noble Path, he spells out the pathway to wisdom, to morality, and to diligence. He didn't call it diligence. I mean, the words used in the Pali words is panya, sila, samadhi, which for our school's sake, panya is equivalent to wisdom, morality is sila, and samadhi, we use the word diligence rather than concentration because it's a pathway for one. So you imagine this pathway as the key, not imagine, but actually it is the key for us. It is the roadmap. In fact, this is the roadmap for our success. And if you look at this carefully here, we need to understand it clearly to understand how this actually can produce academically excellent students. Or this will produce students who, if they become doctors, if they become lawyers, they become engineers, or they become nurses or teachers, they will become the best at their field. Now let's focus back to academic excellence first, because I think that's the most concerning issue or most pressing issue for most parents when you choose school. I invite you to look at right understanding. In the first part of the Eight Noble Path, the Buddha talked about right understanding. All right. In the second part, he talked about right thinking. Now I'm going to unpack this a little bit for you. The two paths put together, he called that wisdom. That's the notion of wisdom from the Buddhist point of view. The notion of academic excellence is, in fact, intelligence. If we look at the world, most intelligent people have right understanding of knowledge that's been given to them. Whether they are PhD, doctors, professors, whether they are engineers, whether they are scientists, they're expert in their field, or they're called intelligent people because they have the right understanding of the knowledge that they have learned or that was taught to them. Now, there are many, many intelligent people, many people, especially in the West, many intelligent people who have right knowledge. And here's a question I'd like you to think about. We all know that we're living in a time where the planet Earth is in great trouble. From world pollution resulting from burning of fossil fuel, to plastic problem, to uneven distribution of wealth. So many problems. Let me ask you this question. There are two distinct groups of people in the world. The people who are not so intelligent, having less education, having less opportunities to get a high education. And there are those who are very highly educated, the intelligent people. Which of those group of people is more responsible for the damage to the world? Now, I'll tell you, plastics, fossil fuel, ozone layer problems. I don't think many of the people who cannot afford great education have any idea how to produce them in mass production or even just a little bit of production. Right? So most of the world's problem I put to you, this is my view, has been caused by the most intelligent people on the planet. Okay, Einstein once said that he regret that he discovered the atom bomb. If he only realized what man used it for, to kill each other, maybe he would have found a different path. So developing intelligence alone is clearly not enough. We need to educate our students how to think correctly. Now, thinking correctly means, the intelligent people do think. So we have to, the Buddha talked about right thinking, right understanding. Now, when we're talking about right understanding and right thinking, it's opposite to wrong thinking and wrong understanding. Right thinking is the ability to know that when you do something wrong, you let it go, you cut it off. Even if you're motivated by becoming rich, economic interests, you will cut it off because you know that your action or your speech will end up hurting many other people. Now, if you only have intelligence without that ability to think with compassion, with loving kindness, with empathy, then you have wrong thinking, because wrong thinking is often motivated by greed, by hate, and of course, delusion, ignorance. So wisdom entails two things: right understanding, which is intelligence, and the ability to have right thinking. Right? It's important that parents should find a school that nurture not only the intelligence, but also the right thinking, which ultimately is wisdom. So a person that have wisdom, you can say that that person also will have intelligence. But a person who is intelligent, you may not say, you may not be able to say that they have wisdom, because they may not have the right thinking. Okay, so many psychopaths in the world, I know, forgive me for using the word psychopath. Many psychopaths in the world are often very intelligent people, and they do a lot of harm. And that's why wisdom is such an important factor of Pao Buddha School. Now, how do you nurture wisdom in a young person? You nurture wisdom through morality. And that's the next section on on the Buddhist Eight Noble Path. Can I have a bit, that slide zoom a bit so I can see morality, please? If you look at morality, if you ask any adults, people in this Western world, very advanced world, they talk about morality, they talk about ethics. I often ask people when they talk about, being of high moral, the question I ask is, what exactly is moral or morality? The average intelligent person in this very advanced Western world struggle to give me a solid, definite answer of what morality means. And here, I invite you to look at the morality as defined by a fully enlightened human being. He said that morality, if you want to measure the morality in a human being, look at their speech. There are two types of speech only: wrong speech and right speech. A person who have high morals have right speech. Then look at their action. Again, there's only two types of action. Well, there's actually three. There's a middle one, but that's inaction. That's also action. But let's look at the two main type people perceive as action. Either you have the wrong action or you have the right action. And of course, the last one, which you can measure morality of a person by, is their livelihood, how they live. Now that might be a bit odd, because you might think that livelihood is a combination of speech and action. The reality is that right livelihood, when the Buddha talked about right livelihood, he is talking about the pattern of thinking of a person. You see, you measure a person through speech, action, and their thinking. But the unfortunate thing is, because we are unenlightened human beings, we do not have the skills to read other people's minds. Right? So if you can't read people's minds, then all you have to do is look at their pattern of livelihood. If you look at the pattern of livelihood of an individual, you can actually look at their past thinking, because the manifestation or the growth of a person thinking come through their speech and through their action. And so that action and speech will result in the way they live. Yeah, you've all heard of the saying, the person is either, an action, the person's actions reflect their speech, or the person's action doesn't reflect their speech. So livelihood is exactly that. You learn to look at a person's track record of thinking just through the way they're living. That's morality. Now, how does that morality help wisdom? Right? The question, that's a hard question. And morality, in fact, is this is the core roots of morality. And in our school, Pabudu School, we actually adopted the 10 codes of moral conduct, which is morality being broken up further, clearer by the Buddha. The Buddha basically breaks speech into 4 types, action into 3 types, and thinking into 3 types. That becomes the moral codes of conduct of our school. The question, I guess, is for parents and for students out there. Wisdom is, you can look at wisdom as the greatest tool that a person can possess. And that tool can be nurtured, can be grown, can be multiplied in growth, in size. And I'm telling you that the key to growing that morality, that wisdom, is actually through the increase of morality. And that's very hard for the average person to actually map that together. And I've spent quite a number of years now studying this. And I put it into practice, I put it into school. Even the staff at Pabudu School have also tested this together as a team here. And what I think some of the testing grounds that you may see if you come to our school would be found in the training grounds that Ms. Lam talked about earlier. But to make you understand this in a very quick time frame, I guess I can give you a quick analogy. Imagine the student to be a plant that you're trying to grow. Right? So if you're going to try to increase the wisdom of the student, you can imagine the growth of the plant and the fruition of the plant to be similar to the growth in wisdom of a young person. So morality, therefore, would be similar to the soil that the plant's growing in. If a plant have great nutritious soil, then that plant will have a greater opportunity to grow great fruits that can benefit many people. If a plant that don't have great soil, for example, if you can think of a plant that don't have very good soil to grow in, can you think of one in your head? One that come into my head is a cactus plant. Can you imagine a cactus plant in your head? What type of soil does cactus grow in? Now we can all, I don't know about you, but I think everybody should be able to visualize that you can often find cactus growing in desert, isn't that right? Very dry, arid land, nutrients there, but cactus still able to grow. But can you visualize the traits of a cactus plant? Very spiky. You can't touch it that easily. If there's fruit, there's flowers there, that you can actually eat flowers of cactus, but then there's plenty of water in a cactus as well, but it's very hard to go and access that. Not many people want to go and touch a cactus plant unless they have no other choice. So morality is exactly like that to a human being. Morality, when we talk about soil, we're talking about, the environment that children live in. First environment is at home, right? If the home environment has high moral standard, then the child will grow well. And therefore they will have the ability to nurture right understanding, right thinking. The next most important part of the child's growth is at school. Because for most of their weekdays, from 8 o'clock to 3:30 or 3 o'clock, they spend their times with their peers and their teachers. So if the school have high morality, then the students will also have great grounds to grow in. When you nurture that, the opportunity for wisdom, for intelligence and wisdom will grow. Then, of course, if you can nurture morality well, you have to teach the students to have grit, to have resilience. In our school, we call that diligence. They need to be shown the pathway to exert right effort. Not only do they have to put effort, I mean, if your effort is not mindful, then you could go the wrong way. Like a cactus plant, I am sure a cactus plant puts a lot of effort to extract whatever resource it can get from that poor soil, but it will still grow. But the result of that plant is very spiky, not very useful to anybody. But if you look at a mango tree, it will put its effort to try and bring up the nutrients from the great soil. And as a result of that, the mango tree produces beautiful mango. Whether it's green or whether it's ripened, it is useful to many, many people. So right effort, right mindfulness, and right mastery is the path that the Buddha called samadhi, but we call it diligence. We have to nurture that in the students. Okay, so that's a very short nutshell explanation of how we apply the Eight Noble Path. But what I have good news for you. After this, you will see how our teachers at Pao Buddha School apply the Eight Noble Path across their curriculum, across their teaching. And people ask, how often do we, apply the teaching from the Dharma? The Dharma is the teaching, of course, from the Buddha. Again, please don't be scared and think that it's religious. Think of the Buddha as equivalent to an Einstein or a Nikola Tesla. But his scientific knowledge, his mastery is in the human mind. Okay, whereas Einstein is in, looking at quantum physics and other things. Buddha's specialty is understanding the nature and the inclination and the intricacy of how human beings function. You're going to be seeing that in how our teachers actually apply this through to make their curriculum effective. I guess the question for you is, how do we nurture morality? How do we nurture wisdom? How do we nurture diligence? Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's not only these things that we're talking about. I mean, when we look at a human being, when we look at the human mind, we have to look at, I present you this idea. As I told you that my professional background from university is computer engineering. As a computer engineer, we are supposed to be able to design using artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence may look like a human being. Everybody's expected to look at a robot, but let me tell you that even your smartphone now, even the tablets that we're looking at now, have a lot of intelligence in it. I mean, if you just have to type some words, some phrases in a Word document, the word itself will help you correct your grammar. So there's artificial intelligence. Now, the irony is this: as human beings are getting more intelligent in the Western world, our endeavor is actually to try and create some intelligence, external intelligence, right? And we're thinking, whenever we see something so intelligent, we're thinking, wow, that's amazing. But the reality is, if you actually look at the human mind, every creation so far, even Elon Musk, SpaceX, and electric cars were created by his mind. So there's a machine that is so much more powerful than any machine that is ever able to be created by any engineers in the present time, and that's our human mind. And yet nobody knows. Nobody knows it's working. Nobody knows it's functioning. Nobody's able to write a manual of it. Nobody in the present time. But yet a fully enlightened being 2,500 years ago wrote a manual to this very advanced, complex machinery called the human mind. It's called a Dharma. So please don't think that we are a school that is religious. We're a school very scientific in our method and our approach. Everything we do is very scientific in our approach. So moving on to the next slide, please, Ms. Lam. Okay, so end my part here. Basically, if you have any questions, this is where I can take it. And if you have no question, I guess what you're going to be going through next is the opportunity to see how our high school teachers, how our primary school teachers. I will come back to you at the end of the teacher's presentation, and let me remind all of you one thing. Answering question is the easy part. Whether that be from an engineer's point of view or whether that be from the Dharma point of view, having the right question is the intelligent part. So I encourage you, ask questions.
Yes, I'd like to invite families to add their questions in the chat box of their Teams screen. So if you look at the top right-hand corner of your Teams window, there's one that looks like a little speech bubble. If you click on that, you'll be able to add your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll then be able to address them with greater efficiency. You can have your children helping you to type it out, or you can type it out yourself. Okay. All right. So what we'll do, I'm going to show you a video that is from our students, and after that, I'll ask you to take a quick stretch, and then we'll get into our bit of practicality with our teachers' sessions. So here's a video I'd like to present to you on behalf of the Student Voices.
My name is Linda.
Eric.
Tiani.
Frank.
Nail Ashok Kumar.
Welcome to a day in the life of a Power Border School student.
What do you have next?
Geography.
Despite the COVID-19, I found it really good that at this school we can still have online classes, so I can continue my education. From the platforms that we were using, it was still really helpful and effective to be able to continue our education. All the staff and teachers at this school, they went out of their time to help continue our education. So I really want to thank you for that.
Ever since I moved to this school, I've noticed myself improve in many subjects, one of them being commerce. This is because with our teacher, due to the small class sizes, the teacher offers us more direct help compared to my old school, where we had a pretty big class size, which was about 30 students.
This learning technology has helped my ability so the teachers will be able to mark my work anytime, anywhere, since they have my notebook on their computer, so then it will be easier for the results to come in faster. So here is an example of what I've done. So here I have written down an essay, and the teacher has been able to mark it since that they have my notebook in their computer, and here I get the results quicker and faster.
When I was in my old school, running for SRC was based on attractiveness and popularity, but when I moved to Power Buddha School, I realised that it was not based on those, but the qualities of who I really am, and they get to see my true heart. The moment you walk into the school, you get to say hi to people, and they're all true friends.
Everybody gets along with each other, and they help each other when someone's alone.
It allows me to express who I really am, and to be honest with myself.
School culture in Power Buddha School is very inclusive and nurturing. Although we are a small school, we have a big heart.
The entire community here, both staff and students, work together to create a community that nurtures each other's well-being.
There are a lot of co-curricular activities you can do here at POW. Creative and performing arts, public speaking, student clubs, and way more.
The Right Action is a Power Buddha School's performing arts program that encourages all students to develop their diligence and to nurture their creativity. Students learn to step out of their comfort zone, discover hidden talents, and to develop kindness and appreciation for their peers.
The Right Livelihood is Power Buddha School's cooking competition. It helps all students develop a greater understanding of their own culture, as well as greater appreciation for the sacrifices their parents have to make every day. Through preparing dishes for parents and teachers, our students develop compassion, gratitude, and selfless joy while building skills necessary for everyday life.
The Right Speech is a Power Buddha School public speaking competition that helps students nurture priceless personal characteristics through the exploration of worldly topics and the teachings of the Buddha. The Right Speech helps us develop confidence, courage, and a greater understanding of how the Dharma relates to our lives.
The Right Effort is Power Water School sports program that helps students to set ambitious goals and aspire to be the best athletes they can be. From sports, we learn to be supportive teammates, develop diligence, and cultivate an enthusiastic and steadfast determination towards our pursuits.
Our fort washing ceremony aims to foster the values of respect, gratitude, and humility. It gives students a meaningful way of honouring the great parents, mentors, and teachers in our lives.
Shape for WASAC is a Power Water School student-led initiative that invites us to conquer our fear and also cut off our hindrances. Participants shave their hair to symbolize the letting go of ego and sensual desire for external beauty, and embracing the realization that it is our inner beauty that radiates foremost.
I think what the greatest thing the school's done for me is how simple it's made for me to understand myself, understand my actions, understand my mindset, and understand how the way I conduct myself will affect other people. That's what this school gives, clarity. If it wasn't for the school, all the students here, I think, wouldn't be who they are right now. Students instilled with wisdom and morality alongside diligence, who will come to learn and be ingrained with an understanding of themselves and a great ability to understand other people so that they can live a fulfilling life. You helped me become the person I am today, and for that, I'm forever grateful.
With that, thank you to our students who participated in the making of that video and to the staff who helped to compile. What a fantastic rainbow of colours from all the different activities around our school, both past and present. Okay, I'd like to invite you to take a quick stretch. We've been sitting down for about an hour, just over an hour now. So if everyone would like to get up in their chairs, reach the sky, reach the ground, do a little spin around and come back to the screen, and we'll begin the session with our teachers.
All right, thank you, Miss Lamb. Welcome guests, teachers and students. All right, so we are going to go through some of the different things that we do here at Pell Primary, and we will also have some activities for you to do later as well. So first off, I want to introduce myself. I am Miss Shaw. I am the primary coordinator, but I am also the Year 5 teacher. I'd also like the other teachers now to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Miss Lee. I am the Chinese language teacher in our primary school. Nice to meet you all today.
Hello, I'm Miss Hood and I am the creative arts teacher and PDH-PE teacher in primary. It's lovely to meet you all.
And we also have Miss Sue. She's just having some microphone issues at the moment, and she's our Year 6 teacher. All right, not only do we have our teachers here joining us today, but we also have some student helpers that will be going through a few different items and helping us with our activities later today. So I would like them to also introduce themselves so that you get familiar with them.
Good afternoon, my name is Jaden and I'm in Year 6.
Hi, my name is Linda and I'm in Year 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Radha and I'm in Year 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toby and I am in Year 4.
Hello, my name is Bonnie and I'm in Year 3.
All right, so we have a mixture of students across all classes here today. They will be leading a couple of items, and it's great to get a student perspective because teachers can talk all the time. However, it's a lot better and a lot more natural to have the understanding of what the students are actually doing. All right, so to start off with, I'm just going to share my screen. Now we are going to be going through a couple of different things today, but there will be time for you to be involved and to be responding, asking questions along the way as we go. You heard from our founding principal and our head of school. They explored the mission and vision of the school, and they also walked through the Eight Noble Path. Now, here at POW, we like to keep things consistent. So what we do in primary school, we also do in high school. We want to make sure that these students are getting a firm foundation in their understanding, not only with academics, but with being a wholesome student as well. So here at POW, we do place an importance on the academics and the education, and we'll be having some of our teachers exploring how we actually do that in POW Primary, because it is uniquely different than other schools out there. Here at POW, we have the success of our education with our NAPLAN results, but we also have these students competing in other competitions. So we have them competing in the school-based competitions for cooking, for performance, for speaking, and also for debating. But we also compete in the university competitions of ICAS and also the Australian Maths competition. Now, this is guiding the students to be able to compete on a national and global level, but it also gives them an understanding on how to sit tests and exams. Because here at POW, we do have exams that we have the students complete at half yearly and at yearly times, because this is preparing them for high school education and later on for the HSC. But not only are we looking at that academics, we are looking at the students in a holistic and nurturing way. So we are looking at their speech. So we have students gaining pro-social skills. They are learning how to communicate clearly and effectively with each other. We have them interacting with games to work on their interactions, work on their turn taking, because that is a foundation skill that works then with other areas of their life. We also have the students working on their actions. So each week we have a service learning time. Now this time is an opportunity for students to give back. So whether or not that's giving back to the teachers, giving back to the peers, or giving back to the administration staff and the rest of the school. They are actually going around and helping with odd jobs around the school. It may be cleaning classrooms, it may be hanging things on the wall, it may be sorting out different items that the admin need to get around to the school as well. Now, not only are we wanting this to happen here at school, but we are wanting these students, once they've understood how it is to give back, to then take that into their homes as well to help out you, because you are their guide through life, and we need them to be able to respect you as well on their journey. The programs that we use in primary school, we use them from year 3 to year 6, and those programs are helping them understand that we keep the same thing, however it learns and grows with them, and it sets up their academic results for the future for high school. So that's enough of me talking. I'm now going to actually pass it on to Miss Lee, and she's going to talk about the next topic.
All right, so I will be talking about class settings. So compared with other schools, our advantage is the small class-based learning and teaching style. So in PAL Primary, your child will be given much higher attention than other schools. So in this mode, your child will be highly engaged with the learning delivered by the teachers. Thus, he or she will achieve the best learning result based on his or her own strengths and learning abilities in an inclusive and differentiated learning environment. Thank you.
So I'm going to be talking about our school and how we deliver our lesson content. So PAL is very unique. We are a paperless school. So all of our work is completed using digital technology. So this is called 4D learning. And these spaces provide opportunities for speedy feedback and multimodal learning. So the students' lessons are planned and developed using OneNote. So this is their workbook, and where they submit their work and their homework and their assessments, and it's live and constant feedback, so we can see what they're doing every second. So also online we watch educational videos, we set their homework. They also read novels online in OneNote, so it's all very interactive. We also use a variety of platforms. The one that we use is called Firefly, and this provides and enhances the students' learning by using different maths programs and also using English programs. And this is also live learning as well, so we can see their progress throughout these programs. So also having our online learning made it very easy to transition to online learning. So during COVID, we were able to continue and carry out our lessons as usual. So this made it easy for the students to know what was going on and also could have that updated feedback. I'll now pass it to Ms. Sue, who's going to talk to you about our integrated learning.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hood. So the next point is integration. Integration is a big part of PAL Buddhist School, especially in PAL Primary. It is basically how we deliver the content in a very interesting and unique way that is a lot more helpful and useful to students rather than just, okay, here's an English lesson and here's a math lesson. Integration is all about giving them a problem instead. So it's more problem-based learning where they are given a problem and they are given specific English skills, math skills, science skills to solve that problem. So instead of just going, all right, today we're all about subtraction and tomorrow we're all about addition, it instead looks at, okay, let's pull this skill from maths and then this skill from English, put them together to try and solve this problem. So it's a lot more real world life-based rather than let's go through the syllabus. And we will actually show you a bit more about that in the next activity, just so you have an experience of what integration actually looks like, because it is a complex concept to understand. Thank you. And now I'd like to pass on to Jaden to tell us a bit about the next icon.
So I'd like to introduce you to introduce homework. Why we do homework is because homework helps us, and most schools do it after school, or usually they hand out and then they give students to do for work and then they do it next week. For our schoolwork, our homework is related to schoolwork and it teaches accountability and responsible, even mindfulness. Some of them has all of them in it. So it is how homework help us. So it's a function where we ask the teachers and it all help us. Well, there would be consequences when we don't finish homework, and the format is simple and easy. So I'd like to pass on to Bonnie now.
Thank you, Jaden. I'll also be talking about homework. Students are not alone when doing homework because when we are online or at school, teachers will help us on homework if we need help or don't understand anything. They would help us when we have finished, or they could just leave it and don't really help us because it might be easy or not, but they will still help us because they would know that we don't need help or
Bonnie, can you tell us about how you communicate with the teachers online? What methods do we have in place to help students who do need homework help?
They talk to us on how we could figure it out or give us a clue on it. I will now pass it on to Linda.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. At PAL, we included the Harry Potter houses, but instead we changed the name to Our Theory. We have upeka, balance, mudita, selfless joy, metta, loving kindness, karuna, compassion. Each jewel represents our house. When we do something good, we are honoredly to earn a point for our house. The jewel in the jewel jar system greatly connects the individual to his or her house. Behind it, it demonstrates individuals' contribution towards the house. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, students. Alright, so just a recap. We talked a bit about how we do things in PAL Primary and the consistency across primary and high school. We talked about our small class sizes, our 4D online learning, our integrated and the way that we actually teach the curriculum, our homework, and also our reward system here in PAL Primary. Now, moving on, so we're now going to go back to the students and they're going to explain some of the things that excite them about PAL Primary School. So I'd first like to introduce Jaden.
So online is a pretty hard thing to learn. Online learning is pretty hard. But at our school, we get taught almost the same way. Everything is almost the same as well. Same consequences, sports same, we still wear the same uniform, and timetable is still the same. And we could even still see our friends. Some schools, you can't see your friends. You can just get your work on like Seesaw or Zoom or something like that. But our school, we get live online learning. We can chat to our friends, talk to our friends, and even the teachers if we need help or we're having a problem. We have homework help and different call before class and after class. It's still the same as school because at school we wouldn't have calls, but we have the teacher in the room. We would be asking them if we need to. And I would want to pass on to Ronan.
Thank you, Jaden. Today I will be talking about the slight changes about online and at school. At school, when we're doing sport, we normally do the warm-ups like stretching, running around, jumping, and stuff like that. But online, we normally would listen or follow a video. In the middle, we would focus on what the sports topic is, and same for online. We would sometimes do Just Dance or we would do some drills. The homework is slightly different because at school we would get help from the teachers, but then online we would normally log in before class and the teacher would still help us. And I would like to hand it over to Toby.
What I enjoy about PAL Primary sports because it's very challenging and fun to do. It also keeps us active. The second thing I like is play space because you get to communicate to each other and make new friends. I also like Dharma because it teaches students about how the Buddha's past life and the way how he taught his students. I also like the canteen lady because she makes delicious food with lots of nutrients and vegetables. I would like to pass it on to Bonnie.
Making friends. You can make friends so you can not be lonely or sad. Learning new things. Teachers can make some lessons fun so you can understand stuff that are hard and that you can really know or like doesn't make sense. They will like read it through or like help you with it. I will now pass it on to Linda.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. At PAL, we are surrounded by a friendly atmosphere. We have competitions relating to the Dharma, such as right action, right speech, right livelihood, and soon the right thinking. We rise through wisdom, morality, and diligence. As a learner, I'm very proud of our unique education and teaching in our school, as I believe we're given the right value of our life by our teachers. In addition to our learning, we also have a fantastic enjoyment such as play space. It occurs every single Monday as a reward to our completion of our weekly homework. At PAL, we are connected as a unified family. Thus, in any event, primary school and high school students will be working together like this one to achieve our goal. We rise as a family with lots of support and lots of compassion. The school offers us a great chance to show our love and respect to our family members in events such as the foot washing ceremony and the right livelihood. At awards night, while receiving our awards, we handmade gifts with love to our dearest parents. This is our tradition. Thank you.
All right, thank you, students. Guess I hope that it is a bit of a snapshot of what PAL Primary is like.
Just wondering, so just like in year primary school, how many kids in one class?
So at the moment, our primary schools classes are still very small. So our stage 2 class is currently combined, and that's our largest class. So that has year 3 and year 4 together in there, and that has 14 students. In year 5, there are 10 students, and in year 6, there are 7 students.
Wow, okay. So it's a small group of kids, yeah.
It is very small. However, because it is small, we can do a lot more one-on-one focus. So we can really spend the time with each student and helping them along the way.
So I'm just wondering how many hours, like the the principal Paul say around about eight noble paths. So how many hours for the lessons in a week, roughly?
Miss Lam, you have your hand up.
Yes, Ms. Shaw, thank you. I just wanted to address the question from the parent just now. I think it was Mrs. Shi about the 8 noble paths that Mr. Powell presented. Just to add on to Ms. Shaw's answer, we don't actually set a certain time of the week to teach the 8 paths. The 8 paths actually form the foundation, like the philosophy behind all that we do. So from English to maths to science to debating or public speaking or creative arts, whatever it is that we do around the school, those 8-fold noble paths is the background, the context that helps us guide what we do. So it's not a dedicated time for those 8, it's infused. As Ms. Shaw said, we do have a Dharma lesson, which is 1 hour per week for all the students, and in that 1 hour, they do some theory as well as some practice of Dharma principles, which is really focused on morality. In Dharma lesson, that's when we teach them about behaviors, about how to speak the right things, about how to look into their mind. And they also learn some more mindful practice as well, in addition to the daily meditation, which is that for about 10 minutes, Miss Shaw? Yes.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, that's
so they start the day with mindfulness.
It's another question about medications. So
yes,
you do like have every days for the student to do the medication?
So every morning, primary school students start the day with meditation. We don't really use the word meditation here. We use the word mindfulness because meditation is restricted to having to sit down, close your eyes. But actually, mindfulness is more opened. You can do meditation with your eyes open. You can do meditation when you're eating food or when you're walking around. So that's why we call that mindfulness instead of meditation. But we do use those techniques to prepare the students every day to get into a mind of learning, to calm down. We all know young children are very energetic and their mind bounces around like a tennis ball all the time. So we use those techniques, if not in the start of the day, but also if we need to throughout the day as well, just to help them maintain focus and some calm during learning time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I just want to check with the school if the family has some financial kind of difficulties, but they are very keen to join. Can they actually seek this type of assistance and let their child have a child in the school? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got, well, two paths. The first one is we have a scholarship exam every year. So if the child is academically strong, they can have their fees sponsored by one of our benefactors. So we have a number of sponsors of our scholarship fund, namely members of the Zuchi Foundation, Nantian Institute, Nantian Temple is also sponsoring scholarships for our students as well. So that's the first way. And the second way is if it is not because of academic testing, if it's due to financial hardship, there is a bursary program available as well. And for the bursary, there are also donors and sponsors who will pay for the child's education. And to apply for that, there is a process of filling out a form and giving some information for the benefactors to understand the hardship or the financial difficulties. And following that, they'll be able to review that process and hopefully take that obstacle out of the way for any family.
So we're going to move on to our next activity now. So Ms. Sue talked about our integrated curriculum. Now this is where we take one topic and we look at how can we teach this topic with all the different subjects so that they understand not only the topic, but how are they going to complete their final task. So this is a chance for you to kind of brainstorm a little bit about how imagination as a theme would be able to be taught in these different subjects. So here at PAL, we do have our normal subjects. We have our mathematics, our English, our history, our science, our geography, our PDH, so our health, and our sport. But we then also have Chinese as our language. We have Dharma, and we also have Kappa. Now, Kappa is our creative and performing arts. So I want you to take this time to brainstorm what are the types of things in each of these subjects that the students may need to know to be able to learn about imagination. Now, imagination is opening your mind up to all the possibilities. Whatever you could think of, whatever worlds you could think of, this would be imagination. So we're going to have some of our students, helpers here, also brainstorming and coming up with some ideas. But I want the guests also to get involved, and you can write these down on some paper. You could put your hand up or microphone on to call out some answers as well. It's not a test, it's just a brainstorming session. Right, and then we'll go through some of these ideas as well.
This is a really good way for especially a lot of the parents that, and even the children that come to our school, this is one of the hardest or newest things that they are exposed to because they are traditionally taught to learn by subject and there is no link in between subjects. So what we do is that we do this exercise to show them the mindset and the way we plan our work at school, and to show how all the subjects can be combined together. Because when you go into the workforce, you don't just do English and you don't just do maths, you do it all together. And so that's how we teach it as well, by showing that English, maths, history, science, they all come together to form part of the problems that we solve. So
let's hear from some of our students. Jaden, how would we teach imagination in English?
So for English, we might have narrative, descriptive, we might have fairy tales as our writing, or film study.
Now this is just some of the ideas. Like if your ideas are not the same as this, that's totally okay because it is a free thinking idea.
All right, Toby, what are some of the things that we may need to learn in maths?
Time, 3D shapes, weight,
Why don't we go down to come back to maybe base it around science. Let's see, Linda, can you tell us what sort of science we can learn around world imagination?
Okay, so in year 5, we are constructing a house with our group. So we use our imagination to like design one, and we have to really experience it. So we try it out, and
Yeah. And I guess with houses, and then that relates back to maths. All right, so you can see when you design a house, you need to know the weight of things.
Or measure something.
Yeah, you need to measure something, so there's measurement. You need to know the different 3D objects around a house. All right. And the time it takes to put something together, like time for cement to dry or something like that. So as you can see, just by this, what we mean by integration, we are looking at subjects together and we are seeing how does science help maths, or how does maths help science. That is essentially what integration is. And as we delve further and further in, we look at, okay, here's science and maths. How does English help? How does history help? And that's essentially what integration is.
Yeah, it's not like the students are going to learn about plants and then they're going to learn about time and then they're going to learn about poetry. It's learning about a topic and how all of these different areas help them to lead them to that final result.
Ryder, you've got your hand up.
It relates to space and science.
Yeah, spatial awareness, that's very good.
Especially because a lot of the space hasn't quite been discovered yet. So there's a lot out there that we may all imagine about. So space is definitely a good one.
How about geography? Bonnie, would you like to tell us some of your ideas for geography?
Culture.
Culture.
Would that be about what do you imagine different cultures are like?
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you do in geography? You're looking at what? You just did this in this term. You're discovering different, starts with a C.
Countries.
Yeah.
And how do you get to the different countries, Bonnie?
You can go by planes or other transports.
Okay, so transport, so maybe some planes. So back here in science, we could maybe imagine different ways of different transports to different lands as well. Now, guess this may be a little bit confusing. It may be seeing how we're jumping a little bit, but it's how one idea can spark other ideas in those different subjects. So it's not so separate, it's all working together.
And that is essentially what integration is. We find a way to fit everything that we need to teach into 4 different topics, essentially. So we teach 1 topic a term. And we fit it in a way that all the subjects come together, which we think is a lot more helpful to the students because it teaches them how to problem solve. It teaches them how to think outside the box, to be like, how can this link to that? And that, I think, is what is really special about the way we do things, and especially the way that, you know, it allows students to think in really different ways, because it's not just you learn this, it's more about what do you think of this? And sometimes the things that come out of their mind is very interesting, and integration allows for them to think freely.
And it does also prepare them for later in life, because as we said, you don't go to work to just write something all day. You have to look at different things as well. You may have to do some research. You may have to know and understand different cultures to be able to write about them. So our integrated model is preparing them for that future life so that their mind will be able to work and be able to connect all of these things together, instead of just going, okay, the hour's up, I now need to move on to my history lesson. Because we don't do that.
We find that with our students that when they are engaged with something, the usual attention span for primary students is, 45 minutes or so. But sometimes when we do get into something and they have a train of thought and they have an idea and they hold on to that idea, they could work for 1 hour to 2 hours straight. And we just talk about it and discover it and research it. And it just takes, the way of learning is not tiring, it's inspiring. That's sort of what integration does. It allows them to just explore what they like and explore an idea in any way they want.
Okay, so I hope that has given you a bit of an understanding into what the integrated model is. We do know it is a little bit confusing, so if you do want to contact the school and we can walk you through a little bit more, that's fine, we can do that as well.
And also, if you have any ideas now that you'd like to share that you wrote down, please put your hand up. Linda?
So would you mind me talking a little about the Chinese?
Yes, how would we do imagination in Chinese?
Okay, so the first person written as a tale or story was our final project for our Term 3 learning with the topic of school relevancies. As Miss Lee said earlier, an individual creative writing task done by a student will enable them to integrate their abilities and strengths in Chinese learning language. Also, it hits our big theme, imagination via fostering language and learning skills. We also create comic books.
Yeah, comic books. That's definitely a really good way of doing that.
In Dharma, like the Buddhist stories, you can imagine what the characters are, what they look like. For example, Mara, we don't know what it looks like.
True.
All right, so we're now going to go on to our last activity, which is going to be a bit of a movement activity because we have been sitting for a little while. All right, so on to Miss Hood.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are going to do a Kappa activity, and Kappa stands for the Creative and Performing Arts. So this is our arts program that runs all through primary and into high school as well. So you can see there's a couple of different symbols here, and we're just going to break them down so that you understand what they mean and what Kappa entails at PAL. So the first, we're looking at the purple symbols first. The first ones are a music note. So at PAL, we learn music, one of the art mediums. The second one is, would anyone like to have a guess at what that second symbol could be? You can just unmute yourself and speak up, or students, you can put your hand up. Jaden?
Drama.
It is drama. So the performing arts. Ryder, I think I saw your hand move. Yeah.
It is art, like doing artwork.
Yeah, could you give us an example of which artwork you mean?
Like the painting, kind of.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so that third symbol is the visual art. So that represents our painting, our drawing, our sketching, our sculpting. And then the final one is a moving person, and that's dance. And that's what we recently looked at in term 3. So they're the 4 arts mediums that we cover all through primary. And down the bottom, we have 3 other symbols. The one in blue is a ukulele. So the students learn ukulele from grade 3 all the way up to grade 6. And they are taught the ukulele, and they, as a part of that, they have a course book that they follow throughout their years in primary. And when they finish the book, they graduate. So they can play ukulele and playing lots of different chords. The students have also written their own songs on ukulele, and they also practice ukulele as a part of homework. So ukulele is a big part of our Kappa program at PAL Primary. The orange pictures, they go together. So that looks at digital arts. So looking at performing and videoing. And then the other picture is a performance. So that was a stage. So there's so many opportunities at PAL to go onto the stage and perform, just like you would have seen in the videos, some examples of the right action of students performing. You can have solo performances or group performances. And then also, especially with this term being online, the students have done a lot of filming and videoing themselves. That's integrated with our digital technologies as well. So the media, the digital media. So this hashtag, COVID can't stop the arts, was used a lot this term because we had to transition from being in class and in person teaching art to going online, which was a challenge, but we managed to do it throughout the term. So this term, we learned all about dance, and we're going to teach you a couple of steps. So we invite you to participate in this activity on learning a peacock dance, which is a traditional Khmer dance from Cambodia. And the students in stage 2, so in year 3 and year 4, they learnt this dance and have performed it in front of a camera, and it is going to be compiled, so put together in a video to showcase to the whole school community. So the 6 elements focus on space. So your space on stage, your personal space, the space around you. They also focus on time. So the timing that you have with the music and with the people with you. Dynamics, which is your energy. So how much energy and effort and expression you're putting into dance. The relationships. So the relationships with the music, with the people around you. Okay, and the relationship that you make with the dance. The actions, so the different actions that you are performing with your body and the different levels. and structure. So how the dance is structured from the beginning, it follows a sequence all the way until the end. So these are the 6 elements that we focus on throughout the term and how we structured our dance. In year 5, we actually composed our own dance. It was a water dance that integrated with what year 5 were learning last term. So that's also how Kappa integrates. We communicate as teachers and we make sure that it all comes together. So I'm just going to ask us, if you have space around you, to please stand up. I'll stand up here. I won't move too far because the background might change. So just stand up and you can wiggle your fingers, have a little stretch because I know that we've been sitting down for a while. Okay, so this dance is called the Peacock Dance, and the Peacock Dance is said to bring happiness and prosperity. So that's what we focused on in stage 2 this year. And it is also traditionally performed at ceremonies. Okay, so everyone is going to be a peacock with me. So this is how we get into the mindset and so we can dance properly. So this, we're going to have our hands up like this. So it's like a bird. Okay. Now, peacocks are very, very proud birds because they think they're very beautiful with their big, beautiful feathers. So we're going to stand up like this and you're going to stand nice and tall and proud, just like a peacock. Okay, wonderful. So this is embodying a peacock, getting us into the mindset ready to dance. Now, if the space in front of you allows, we're just going to learn the first couple of steps because I'm aware we don't have a lot of time. So we'll just run through the first couple of steps. So we begin like this, and I will count also after teaching the instructions so we can keep our timing. So our hands go up like this to the side, so you raise them to the side, and they're going to flap up and down twice, just like bird wings. So you go around like this, and you go up, 1, 2, up, 1, 2. Very good. Okay, the next step is you're going to shuffle forward. So shuffling just means moving your feet on the ground just like this, so not steps, shuffle just like Misu did. So you shuffle forward just like a bird does along the floor. So you lift your arms up and you are going to shuffle forward for 2 seconds. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning. So we go up, 1, down, 1, up, 1, down, 1, and now your hands stay here and we're going to shuffle forward. Shuffle. And then you lean down to your left side and your body tilts to the left and your arm comes back up. Very good. And then you repeat this on the other side, on the right side. So you go down and then back up. Very good. The next move is you cross your arms over your chest like this. Now your left hand goes out like this and it's going to push slightly to the side. Very good. And then you curl it around and return it to your chest. And then the other side, you push and slowly return. Okay, we'll go from the beginning, so right from the top. So you shuffle back a little bit so you have space. And begin, so your arms come up, 1, 2, up, and they go up, 1, down, 2, 1 more up, 1, down, 2. Now you shuffle forward for 2 seconds and then lean down to the side like this. Very good. Shuffle forward and lean down to the side like this. The next step is you crossing your arms over your chest. Left arm first and keep it consistent. Pushing out to the side and return back to your chest. And on the other side, push, push, and returning back to your chest. Okay, now this dance had different levels, so the students were on their knees for part of it, also on their tippy toes, and it involved some spinning. I can see Toby nodding, he's remembering. So maybe Toby, you could do a performance. I won't put that pressure on you, we haven't rehearsed for that. So this is just a couple of steps to a dance that we learned over the whole term. So As you can see, we could still manage to transition to doing this online as well. And you can see that it also has a theory component. So that's when we're writing on our OneNote, and then also practical component. So this is just a little insight onto how we did dance this term online.
Okay, if any guests have any questions, this is the time to ask. If not, that actually brings us to the end of the primary presentation. Yes, Mr. Liu?
Hello, Ms. Shaw. There was a question regarding bullying. Is that a problem at Power Border School? And how does a school approach bullying?
Okay, so here at POWER we actually have a no bully policy here at the school. Because of the way that we teach students with the Eightfold Noble Path, and also the way that we teach them through our Dharma lessons and through our normal interactions with them in the classroom as well, we actually make sure that no bullying happens. Because we are such a small school, there is a constant interaction between the students. So no student is ever left out. They're always getting along and working together. So there is actually no bullying here at PAL. But if there was ever a case, the teachers are well informed and we do deal with that instance straight away, and we make sure that all involved know that it is not acceptable, and we work together to build those pro-social skills so that these students can communicate in a nicer format.
Great, thank you.
The topic of bullying at our school, actually, we take it very seriously. Just to give you instances of what we've done in the past, our teachers monitor the even online chats that our students engage in. And if there are any cases, and there were in the past cases where students were not speaking to each other kindly and there was pressure from one to the other and so on, the very next day, our teachers actually pulled those students aside and began a disciplinary process with them. And very quickly, these instances get noticed because we are a small school and because our teachers are very involved and hands-on, whether it be online or even physically. And we've had cases that there is no school that will have never had any bullying cases before. But I think as a parent, what you want to know is, how does the school deal with it when it happens? And I can assure you that our school responds very quickly. That is the first thing. And that we take notice very specifically as well. We monitor behaviours on the playground, in class, online, in a way that doesn't, of course, make students feel that they're being examined, but in a way, they integrate very well as part of the, as part of the friendly environment. And where cases that need to be escalated, they do get escalated. And there have been students in our school that even after going through remedial actions and counselling that behaviour, it hasn't become fruitful. And so eventually that student was asked to leave our school. And this occurs both primary and high school. And that is our zero tolerance for bullying. We would not allow a student to continue being enrolled at our school if we know this is the behaviour they're exhibiting and it is not changing, and that we are not receiving parent support to change this behaviour. So I hope you understand that from that, some of the insights into what we've done in the past as assurance to you how seriously we take this, and the values of compassion, loving kindness, equanimity, as well as selflessness, are really practiced on an everyday basis. Thank you to all the parents who have expressed their comments. Thank you to to the Bandara family, and all the others who had a voice and a comment. We do hope you enjoyed the open day and getting insight into our school. We will follow up with some information for those who did ask for it. Same for the primary group as well. I did have some requests from the parents. So if you do want to contact us directly, though, there is our email, our phone number, and our website, which has a lot of information on there. and anything else, we're happy to do talks. Mr. Powell or myself more than welcome you to make an appointment with us, or even if you want to chat to one of our teachers, if you want to get to know more about the primary or the high school, our teachers are also a fabulous source of knowledge that can help you out as well. Okay. So meanwhile, we thank you to all the students who were part of the presentation, our staff who of course put together and worked with our students so naturally and so organically to show how authentic the teaching and student relationship is at PAL. And to, of course, our attendees for giving your time up on a Saturday online and being so patient and tolerant with the technology and for the time you've given. And thank you to Mr. Powell and all the other staff who are working in the background. I know you didn't get a chance to have your face shown today, but thank you for stitching together the event. Okay, our admin team and our teachers, Mr. Newbrona, and all others who are behind the scenes, Mr. Wade, Mr. Liu, Mr. Tran, Ms. Lam, and so on. Okay, all right, well, we wish you all a lovely end of Saturday and a good weekend ahead. Okay, bye everybody. Thank you.